Hello everyone, this is Rosado, your South of Atlanta Realtor at Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Metro Loopers. I am creating this post for sellers and buyers who might be thinking about selling or buying in the near future. I thought that this article that we are about to go over will answer some of your concerns on whether the economy will experience another crash to that of 2008. A lot of people have been talking about it, and I thought that you'd stick around and take a listen. On a side note, I do want to share that I truly believe that a well-informed buyer and seller makes the best real estate decision. Now, if you like this video, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe to get notified on future posts. When you are ready to either buy or sell your home, feel free to reach out to me through my site at RosadoHomes.com. Now let's go over the article. Is the U.S. hurtling toward another housing crash? This article was written by Claire Trapasso on April 22nd, 2020. I will make sure to leave a link in the description box below. All of us have a mind-boggling range of challenges to deal with in this stressful and uncharted time of COVID-19. But for many homeowners, sellers, and buyers, one concern rises to the top. Are we heading straight into another housing crash? Little is assured these days. The current situation is without precedent. But for most housing experts, believe the wave of across-the-board home price slashing and desperate sell-off that characterized the aftermath of the Great Recession are far less likely to materialize this time around. Why will things be different? Because of bad mortgages, rampant home flipping and speculation, and overbuilding all contributed to the last financial meltdown. This time around, the much stronger housing market isn't it the driver of the crisis? It's one of COVID-19's many victims. That could provide something of a cushion for real estate to prevent another repeat of the late aughts. There's no way we get through this unscathed, but I don't think the world will fall apart in the housing market the way it did in the last recession, says Realtor.com's chief economist Danielle Haley. In fact, the fundamentals of the housing market couldn't be more different from the economic meltdown of 2007 through 2009. In the lead-up to the Great Recession, it seemed like just about anyone could get a mortgage, or two, or three. Today, only buyers deemed less of a risk can score a loan. Credit score need to be higher. Debt-to-income ratios need to be lower, and lenders verify income much more carefully. Now, I do want to add that here in Georgia, I can attest to some of the lenders that I've been talking to. They have strengthened their criteria a little bit more. If your credit score was about 560 and above, that was good enough for them. But now it needs to be a little bit higher. How much higher? Well, it depends on the lender. Some of them are saying it needs to be 600 and above. Others are saying otherwise. Obviously, you're gonna have to shop around, but I do want to say, I'm saying this not to discourage buyers, but to inform you of what's happening, so that if right now you have items on your credit report that's not too great that you need to address, now would be a great time to reach out to a lender or a credit repair specialist to have that conversation, to try to address those items, so that when you are ready, your credit report would have been straightened out by then, and then you'll be ready to do your purchase. Now, the article goes on to say, additionally, in the mid to late odds, there was a vast oversupply of homes. So when the market crashed, there simply weren't enough qualified buyers to purchase them. And with all of the foreclosures going up for sale, a result of bad loans, home prices plummeted. But today, there is a severe housing shortage that's keeping prices high. And I do want to point out that here in Georgia, that's what's going on right now, especially if you are in a particular price range. For example, if you are in the price range of $250,000 home and below, you're competing with other first-time home buyers, and you're also competing with investors as well. So and on top of that, there's not a lot of houses in that price range available in the market right now. So it makes it a little bit challenging here in our neck of the woods. Now, you are going to find your home. You just have to, but however, you're just going to have to be a little bit more patient in finding that home. So that's what that means. The article goes on to say that those financial struggles may have made it increasingly difficult for folks to pay their rents and mortgages, let alone purchase starter homes or trade up residences. This has sparked fears of another foreclosure crisis, one of the hallmarks of the Great Recession and its aftermath. Now, the article goes on to say, will there be another housing fire sale? Probably not. Deep price cuts are the dream of many cash-strapped buyers and of home sellers. They may not happen this time around, but a slowdown in the price hikes of the past decades are likely. Most housing experts said home prices may dip, but just slightly, says Haley. The median home price was $320,000 in March, according to the most recent Realtor.com data. Now, based on what this article is implying, it seems that they feel like there's going to be a slight slowdown, a slight price cut. And I can understand this based on what's happening right now here in Georgia. For instance, prices are high in certain areas because of low inventory. But if the prices are too high, then buyers will be priced out. For example, let's take that $320,000 house. If you have a house in the market for that price range, now because of the lender's new stringent requirements, where they're asking for more, that your credit score be a little bit more, that your debt to income ratio be lower. The fact that they're scrutinizing this, if they're before COVID, they used to be qualified for that house worth $320,000, listed for $320,000. Now they only may be qualified for $315,000. So in order for that seller not to lose those buyers, he or she may have to adjust to the market just so slightly so they can capture those $315,000 buyers. So this is something to keep in mind. Now, there are buyers, but because of the new regulations, they may have to pre-qualify them at a lower bracket. So just keep that in mind when you are pricing your home, if you are the seller. And for the buyer, again, don't be discouraged. This is just so they can make sure that you do have the income, that you are able to pay your bills. So this is an extra precaution that the lender is taking for their protection and also for yours. So the article goes on to say that prices are driven by the rules of supply and demand. On the supply side, there are a record low inventory of homes on the market as sellers have been steadily yanking them off. Many don't want potentially infected strangers walking through their homes and want to wait for the economy to improve so they can fetch top dollars for their properties. Others don't want their home to linger on the market unsold during a time when fewer transactions are taking place. Now I can assess that here there are technologies available to sellers if they want to put their house on the market. There's virtual home tours that are available that can be done where an expert, a professional comes in and does the home tour, virtual home tour, and posts it online so that potential buyers can view it. And that way it minimizes the chances of you being infected by the virus. And, buyers as well. And also about the fear of the house being on the market for long. But here's what I want to say on this one. If your house is priced well and has the curb appeal and it's in a great location, there's nothing for you to fear. That house is going to be sold regardless of the economy, regardless of how the market is. And that's something that I've seen throughout different type of markets. So if you're a seller, you are hesitant of whether your house is going to be sold or not, don't be. If, again, right price, right curb appeal, you are good to go. So the article goes on to say, still demand for new homes hasn't evaporated. There are simply too many would-be buyers out there. Millennials eager to put down roots and start families, folks who lost their homes during the last recession and want to buy another property, and boomers looking to downsize. And while many potential buyers will grapple with job loss or the prospect of them, others will be lured in by the prospect of super low mortgage interest rate. Rates were just 3.31% for 20-year fixed rate loan as of the week ending April 2016, according to Freddie Mac. Now the article goes on to say, there will be sharp decline in the home sales until the threat of the virus and its economic toll have waned, says Lawrence Yoon, chief economic of the NAR. But he anticipated sales will pick right back up as soon as things return to some semblance of normalcy. The luxury market to take the biggest blow, however. Even in the best of time, these ultra expensive homes can be harder to unload, but it will likely be harder to find buyers willing to pay top dollars with the economy and stock market in shambles. Wealthier buyers often have more invested in financial markets, which are being buffered by wild fluctuations. But so the article goes on to say, we're underbuilt rather than overbuilt in the run-ups to this crisis. The glue of new construction was a calling card of the Great Recession. Newly built homes and communities sat vacant or mostly empty after the crash. Cities and suburbs were pocked with stale construction sites. There were too many homes for too fewer buyers. But things are quite different now. Last year, builders put up just under 900,000 single-family homes, shy of the nearly 1.1 million homes considered necessary to alleviate the housing shortage and accommodate the growing population. But a reduced demand from buyers will likely translate to fewer homes being erected in the near future. And the financial crisis is already making it more difficult for builders to secure the financing needed to put up new homes and developments. So, article goes on to say that bad mortgages are largely a thing of the past. One of the biggest culprits of the last economic downturn were riskier subprime mortgages and liar loans. Since the housing bubble popped, these loans have largely ceased to exist. And it goes on to say that liar loans were those giving to folks whose lenders didn't verify their income. That slipshod practice was largely vanished. Of course, it is still likely to be difficult for even the most qualified homeowners to make their mortgage payment if they lost their job or a portion of income due to the coronavirus. So the federal government is stepping in. Now, I do want to point out that if you are a homeowner and you're having you had a job loss or income a salary a cut due to the coronavirus, forbearance is currently available for up to 120 days, I believe. And you again, I would suggest that you consider reaching out to your mortgage company if you are experiencing financial hardship to try to work out a payment plan, or if you're not able to do that, to consider talking to a lender to probably refinance your loan. So to think about if, again, you're going to financial hardship. So the article goes on to say, mortgage forbearance as well as loan modification in many cases are being offered on government-backed mortgages for up to 12 months for those affected by the coronavirus. Many lenders are offering similar assistance to those who don't have Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. It goes on to say that, but well, we can skip that. The article asks, what does the future of the housing market look like? How the housing market will fare over the coming months and years is still a mystery, since no one knows just how long this public health pandemic will last and how long the economy will take to rebound. The real estate is likely to suffer until the economy improves and folks feel more confident in buying and selling homes again. The stimulus bill, extra $600 a week in additional unemployment funding, are likely to buoy the economy and relieve some of the anxiety, says Yoon. Even in the worst case scenario, the majority of Americans are still employed, and mortgage interest rates are at a record lows. They're hovering around 3%, unlike the more than 6% they were at the beginning of the Great Recession. Even those with less rosy views believe that a strong rebound for housing may be in the cards. So I do want to point out that this is great news based on what The Economist is saying, based on what this article is written from. That it may be a little slow, it may be a little sluggish, but the economy is gonna get better, especially for real estate. It's just a matter of how confident a buyer and seller feels at this moment. So if you are a seller and you're thinking about selling right now, don't be afraid, in the sense that there are technology available to decrease your chance of being infected through virtual home tours, through virtual meetings, through virtual closings. Those are tools that are available through to many different platforms that could be used so that you could decrease your chance of maintaining your social distancing while decreasing your chance of person-to-person contact. And same goes for the buyer. Now, the criteria might be a little higher than what you used to, but now that through this article, you might be better informed and consider, if your credit score is at a certain number right now, now may be a good time to consider talking to a lender or a credit repair specialist to try to get your credit score where it needs to be, so that when you are ready, you know what to do. And if you're already pre-qualified as a buyer, you could still find a home that you're looking for. Now, if you are at a particular price range, you may have to be a little patient. Your home is there. Just gonna have to, wait a little longer to find that home. So there is hope that there is, as the reopening is happening, there are still transactions being done, especially here in Georgia. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. In the meanwhile, I hope that you found this article helpful, useful, and if you do like it, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye.